With all senior grades, including their women's team, in the deciders tomorrow, the Wanderers have the chance to create history. And they'll be firm favourites in the top grade, with 2 wins in the past month against Eastern Districts.
Oh, it's been a tremendous year for the club.
At Wanderers for the last 4 seasons, NRU journeyman Alan Barker coached Maitland to grand final glory in 1994 before moving to Eastern Districts and then to the 2 Blues. He rates this team as one of the best in his time and expects their composure to be the key.
But it's certainly the thing that's got us home in a lot of games. We stay composed. The guys have got faith in each other to be able to do their job.
In contrast, Eastern Districts are better known for brute strength and aggression, a style that won't change tomorrow. Celebrating its 60th year, the club wants something to show for it.
We've met in the pre-season cup final, the Cold King Cup. They beat us there in the final. They beat us in our last home game for the Hawthorn Cup. So, 2 out of 3 is pretty good for them.
The match kicks off at St John Oval, Charlestown at 3 o'clock. Wanderers number 8 Koba Satinga ran out for his final game while Eastern Districts coach Danny Mayava laced up his boots one more time as well. A massive penalty kick by Julian Morton got the first points. But Easts took control after that, with Luina's effort making it 7-3. His breakaway partner Talia Filippo landed a different kind of blow on Michael Noonan. But fullback Chris Mikulski's attack was more rewarding, Easts running up a 9-point lead. The radar-like kicking of Morton, though, clawed Wanderers back level 12-all at half-time. Both teams traded penalties after the break before Andrew McNeil scampered over to give Easts the lead once more. Again, Wanderers fought back, a try to Simon Philp, and things were level once again. Morton's sideline conversion landing them a 22-20 lead. Well into extra time, Easts got the break they were after, a penalty offering Phil Bancroft the match winner. The crowd told the story as Easts won by a point. When the full-time siren sounded in the Tooheys Cup decider yesterday, it signalled the end of a 10-year premiership drought for Waratah. For Steve Henderson, it was extra special. The Cheetahs captain-coach emulated his late father Norm's title win back in 1972 when he led Cessnock home.
I'm ecstatic.
Henderson also won the man of the match, but few would have gone past the efforts of halfback Darren Forward. He scored 2 tries in his final ever game.
The holes just opened up, so, it just worked out pretty well in the end.
But the best solo effort was Craig Foggo's intercept try. Ahead by 4 with 6 minutes remaining, the Waratah winger sprinted home to set up a memorable win.
I've done a few, but I haven't done them that hard. I had the crowd on me back, I think. It was pretty hard going, but good way to score, good way to win a camp grand final.
The Seagulls' disappointment, though, was hard to describe.
We'll just start again and have a look at ourselves in November and hopefully turn up again.
For now, the Cheetahs just want to party.
I think Mad Monday will last till next Friday, I don't know.
In the local sense, most of the CO2 gas that is produced in this area we effectively export to the rest of New South Wales, and so we're doing the rest of the state a very large favour.
A broken toe might not sound like much, but it stubs out Andy Harper for the rest of the pre-season at least. In fact, he's in real danger of missing the first few competition games starting in October.
We're going to have another look at the x-rays just before the week before we kick off, but I don't like the sound of it.
And given the uncertain times for the embattled soccer club, the loss of the veteran striker is a blow for team morale.
Oh, for sure, and the spirit that's in the place, it's always good to have Harps around in pre-season. There's a bit of a laugh and a bit of a joke on it.
Few laughs from visiting sides in the pre-season competition, with Newcastle's form impressive. Losing the final in a penalty shootout, the Breakers' preparation is showing good signs. Despite that, Sterry will trial a Melbourne-based player next week and is looking overseas for talent to fill the void of Shane Price and Greg Owens, who both left the club last week. But he can't sign anyone until his current players are paid what they're owed.
At the end of the day, I've got to move on, and I hope that if they put the superannuation issue with the local players, and that's all put away, well then, I can move on to looking at maybe a couple of imports or whatever.
Newcastle will play the Northern Spirit in 2 weeks before heading to Perth for a 5-day camp. Jim Callanan, NBN News.
Fresh seafood. It attracts hundreds of shoppers to the cooperatives each day, but it has only a short shelf life. That's the problem that Sensational Foods plan to address, and is also the issue that's won it $1.3 million from the federal government's Research and Development START grant.
Well, what this technology will do is actually make seafood a lot safer for people, and will give a hunter-based company a world-leading edge.
The company believes it will take 3 years to research the new packaging technology.
A food technology process that uses a number of gases to preserve the shelf life of fish.
It's planned to start the research immediately and have trial packaging on the market within 15 months. However, some would rather that no gases were used in the packaging process at all, preferring the seafood to be as natural as possible.
Well, it takes professional staff to look after seafood to the degree that it needs to. It's a product, as you said, that can turn quickly, So therefore it needs to be the freshest and best quality at all times.
Adam Harper, NBN News.
Absolutely beautiful. It's overwhelming. What a transformation. Didn't know they could do that in 2 days.
Some parents may object to immunisation, but it seems most now believe in the benefits. According to new statistics, 90% of hunter children are now immunised against potentially life-threatening childhood diseases, compared to 64% 2 years ago.
We promised a year and a half ago we'd meet those targets within 2 years, and we're 3 months ahead of schedule, and we're extremely pleased with that.
The high rate of immunisation in the region is being attributed to a joint effort.
The Commonwealth provided the money, the GPs provided the effort, and the combination of GPs and parents and the commitment meant that we could reach those targets.
Dr Sprogus says the high immunisation rate effectively ensures the entire population is free from preventable childhood diseases.
The best any country can do is usually about the 95% mark, but once you hit 90% you get what is called herd immunity, where because the majority of children are protected, the other ones aren't as likely to get the diseases.
Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
We've talked about it for quite a while, my wife and family and I, and of course the Mayor and my independent colleagues, and yeah, I'm very pleased.
It's very creative to play, it gets the creative juices going.
Wobba, Belmont or Bellbird, these scenes could have come from right across the Hunter. But this fire was in Gateshead, one of many in the area.
It's been about the 5th or 6th in this area. And I've just walked through the fire ground then, and there are separate fires being lit, which we don't believe has been started from the original fire.
Houses surround the reserve, which also backs onto Gateshead West Primary School. Neighbours watched with concern, but they've been through it all before.
It's just ridiculous. We live with this all the time. We've been on to the council about clearing a firewall between our houses and the reserve, and we still haven't had any results from it.
There's been repeated calls out to different pockets of bushland throughout the Lake Macquarie area, and the fire brigade suspects that most of the fires have been deliberately lit.
This always seems to happen within the first week of the school holiday, so it will probably happen another half a dozen times before the kids go back into school.
Before 3 o'clock in North Belmont, a woman due to have a baby in a fortnight kept a level head to save her 3 children under 5. Michelle Towers walked into her bedroom to find it ablaze. She quickly closed the door, got her children out and then called 000.
She's done very well. She was fairly cool actually when we arrived, which was great.
It's one of the toughest junior competitions of its type and a proven breeding ground for tomorrow's tour champions. Belmont's Polly Trevika has dominated her age division for years and actually upstaged many of her senior competitors today. With putts like this, it's easy to see why. But no one could put a stop to Katie Yarahowitz's control in the girls division. With a huge overall lead heading into today's final round, the Shell Harbour teenager could relax today, eventually finishing 11 shots ahead of the field. The boys' battle was far from one-way traffic, with a trio of Queenslanders shooting it out for the honours. World Junior Champion Andrew Buckle led by 1 shot at the start of play, but 14-year-old Tom Davis laid down the challenge, along with state player Bronson Lacassie. In fact, both finished the 72-hole tournament locked at 6 under and into a playoff.
It's been a good 10 years since the idea for a cancer research institute was floated, but now the wheels are in motion. The institute, which was funded by the community through the 1993 NBN Telethon and a $2 million state government grant, is slowly taking form.
We expect the project to be commissioned in April of next year, and that remains on schedule.
Meanwhile, the search for an organisation to redevelop the ageing Mater Hospital is taking longer than expected.
It's one that is far more intricate than we had initially anticipated, but the board and the Hunter Area Health Service are intent upon pursuing and considering all of the proposals that have been made before they discard any particular option.
But General Manager Colin Osborne believes it shouldn't be too much longer before a not-for-profit partner is named.
I would certainly think that within the next 6 to 8 weeks we might be in a position to make some further comment.
Just how many tenders have been received is being kept secret at this stage, but it has been revealed more than one Catholic organisation has expressed an interest. Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
It's the Olympic spirit that's keeping the crowd in line and relatively happy.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. This is just the best experience to have the games in Australia.
Despite having to line the streets for hours, some say it's a small price to pay for a rare opportunity.
It's only once in a lifetime event, isn't it? So 2 hours is nothing.
Some expected the long wait and came prepared, while others took advantage of local hospitality. It's just a stop on what's become a long haul for many.
Yesterday I drove from Ballina because this is the only outlet between here, Ballina and Sydney, that I can get tickets from.
But while the wait is just part of the experience for some, it's threatening to keep others away from the games.
It's a 4.5 hour wait, I've been told. I've been down there 2 days and I've just got no chance of getting my tickets and I don't know what I'm going to do.
After paying for the tickets over the phone, work commitments are preventing her from taking her place in the queue. She believes the answer to the problem is simple. Have a separate line for the people who have prepaid and those still deciding or hopeful. Brooke Webster, NBN News.
It seems incredible that a club coming off its best ever season now face no future at all, but that's where the Breakers find themselves. After captain Shane Price and Greg Owens decided to leave last week, talented defender Glenn Moore followed suit on Wednesday night, and today another 10 did likewise. Basically, half the top grade squad have walked, including top goal scorer John Bonavolia, Andy Harper and goalkeeper Bob Catlin. Homegrown players are also prominent, with Todd McManus and Mark Wilson among those leaving. The move follows months of uncertainty and outstanding player entitlements, and when David Hall failed to pay wages on Wednesday, many decided to leave.
There's only one person to blame, and we all know who that is.
But a shattered coach, Lee Sterry, can't believe the issue was allowed to drag on to this outcome.
The administration overall of the game leaves a lot to be desired when all this has happened over a matter of 6 months, or 5 months in the off-season.
The Players Association tends to agree, disappointed that Soccer Australia hasn't been more robust with the conditions it placed on David Hall.
That's not an unfair comment. We think that Soccer Australia does need to do that, and we're reminding them of that when we deal with them on a daily basis.
Soccer Australia saying they're committed to having a Newcastle presence in the NSL, while late today the Newcastle Breakers said they've paid the week's wages, but it seems it may have come too late to save the club. Jim Callanan, NBN News. Still on a high from a successful Cameron Handicap meeting, the NJC are tipping big things for tomorrow as well. The Olympics closed down racing in Sydney and Newcastle is set to land a major windfall, able to hold its cup meeting on a Saturday and have some of the best in the land on hand to race.
One of the big attraction here tomorrow is going to be the jockeys. I mean, you've got the Cassidy brothers, Beedman, the Beasleys, you've got Glenn Bosch, you've got Chris Munch, you've got Melbourne Cup, Golden Slipper winning jockeys everywhere. The best jockeys in New South Wales.
The 2400 metre Tooheys Gold Cup is of course the feature and provides one of the most competitive open fields in recent history. While Taree and Wyong Cup winger Pecan Player is considered a strong chance, NBN's own Gary Harley can't go past Kiwi galloper Silent Impact.
You've got to get good value, and it's a real tough 2400 metres here. It takes a real good stayer to win, and I think Silent Impact is that stayer.
Older homes in established areas are becoming sought after, especially with the closure of BHP.
In the outer areas, in your Adamstown, New Lambton, Cooks Hill to a certain extent, but mainly out at Mount Maryville, Islington, Wickham, the demands are coming through per day are astronomical.
It's hard to find a for sale sign throughout those suburbs, and anyway, they don't stay put for long.
With every property we're actually listing in New Lambton, for argument's sake, we're getting multiple offers on the same day. So that just gives you an idea with regards to the eagerness of these first home buyers.
And the $7,000 first home buyers grant has put more houses in reach for buyers like Steve Knowles.
Definitely, yeah, definitely makes a huge difference. It just gives you that extra bit of cash in the hand. So yeah, it's good.
The proposal includes 95 apartments and a retail area with room for 4 businesses on the Charlestown Road site. It's aimed at capitalising on the potential of one of the major commercial centres in the Lower Hunter.
We see Charlestown as being fairly dormant over the last 20 years, and there's an opportunity there to create new development within Charlestown, which is a very high standard.
He says more than 100 new jobs would be created in its construction phase, with at least 60 ongoing jobs to follow. A development application has been submitted to Lake Macquarie Council. While the visual impact of the proposal is Council's most obvious concern, other issues will also be considered before it makes a recommendation to the state government, who is the final consent authority.
Some issues in relation to shadowing, but we have shadow diagrams so that the community can see what level of shadowing will occur, and obviously the traffic implications for access to and from the development.
The community also have the chance to comment when the plans go on public display on Wednesday. Brooke Webster, NBN News.
Controlling juvenile crime is a major priority for most communities, and there's growing concern about just how effective our current system of handling the problem is.
Kids today seem to treat the law with, pretty much, if I do something wrong, I won't get punished, so, why not do it?
It depends on the crime. Sometimes we are, and then sometimes we just seem exceedingly lenient on some kids.
If they attack people, then maybe they should face their victims.
When the law does catch up with a young offender, the experience for at least some can be quite daunting. Rights are read, the offender is placed into custody, legal aid is notified, and parents or carers are contacted.
She's then interviewed. Depending on what happens in that interview process will depend upon what course of action police can take in relation to the offence that was committed.
When the controversial Young Offenders Act was introduced in 1998, it provided a number of options to steer offenders away from detention. Depending on how serious the crime is, an offender may be given a police warning or a formal caution, and in most cases, that's enough.
70% of young people that have been cautioned here in Newcastle have not reoffended.
There's also youth justice conferencing where the victim is present and the young offender is asked to take responsibility for their actions. Figures are showing that the program, designed to discourage young people from reoffending and strengthen family and community ties, is starting to make a difference.
To a young person, that can be very, very confronting, that they've actually got to face somebody that they've committed an offence against, and they get to see how what they've done does affect people.
Since the introduction of the Young Offenders Act, which is currently under review, the aim is to keep youths out of our overcrowded court system.
The vast majority of them, 98% of them who offend, don't require imprisonment, don't require harsh measures. Most of them need a family that cares and loves for them.
Tomorrow night we look at what happens when young offenders appear before a magistrate. Appearing before a children's magistrate is regarded as the final option for juvenile offenders. It's usually those who have committed serious crimes or who are repeat offenders that end up in court and possibly detention.
We can lock somebody up and we can get very angry about what they've done, and we can lock them up for months or years and feel that we've done justice. But when they come out the door, they're not productive people.
Detention is regarded by Magistrate Cook as the very last resort. With 12 years' experience at the Warramai Children's Court, he firmly believes in prevention rather than detention.
It's much smarter for a society to prevent children from offending or prevent them from re-offending than to simply wait till they offend, then get all hysterical about it.
There are a number of options available to the magistrate, who's helped along by special vocational and educational advisors. Their job is to look at a range of special programs, which can include placing the offender in school, TAFE or WEA.
Can be very punitive and say, righto, we will lock them up and throw away the key, but obviously under the sentencing restrictions, then they will eventually get out. So surely what we should be doing is making sure that when they go out, that they won't re-offend again, and that's the primary focus, I think, as far as what we're trying to do here.
But do these programs work, or are they going soft on juvenile crime? Lou Johnston was the manager at the former Warramai Juvenile Justice Centre. There, the policy was one of equipping young offenders with the skills needed to re-enter the community, rather than working on the former system of harsh punishment.
We believe that if we work on that model, we send a young person out who is no different, or perhaps because of harsher experiences in custody, they're perhaps a greater risk to the community and a greater risk to themselves. So our aim has been to balance the needs of the young person and the community.
Tomorrow night, how education can help turn young lives around.
A forgiving sky over the Hunter this morning, giving firefighters some respite. Over the last 3 weeks, both rural and New South Wales firefighters have battled more than 150 fires, the worst coming on Monday afternoon when flames came dangerously close to houses to the west of Lake Macquarie. Even with the help of an aerial assault, fire resources have been stretched to the limit.
They've worked very hard, particularly this week. Monday afternoon saw a very high level of fire activity, and they've worked particularly hard over the last 3 days.
Frustratingly for firefighters, it's been estimated that 90% have been deliberately lit.
We can't be everywhere all the time, and neither can the police. We'd like to know, one, who these people are and why they're doing it.
The big worry is how early the bushfire season has struck. A mild winter combined with low rainfall has left much of the region like a tinderbox.
The fire danger levels for this time of the year are getting up towards extreme levels.
Firefighters will be back on high alert tomorrow with temperatures again on the rise. Blake Doyle, NBN News.